Hi, and welcome to Confusing Musings. I'm Aaron, and today we're going to have story time. I'm going to tell you a story. Happened back in 2013 when me and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, actually lived in China. We lived there from late 2012 to like early 2014, but it was all through 2013 we were there. So we're out this one time, and things are really strange there. It's actually kind of opposite of the standard in Michigan, or I'm in Michigan right now, in America. What you end up doing is everybody goes and they hang out at a pub and have some dinner and everything like that, and all the girls are like, hey, let's all stay here at the pub and hang out and have some cool girl time, and all the guys are like, let's go out dancing, and so then all the guys go out dancing. So that was pretty standard at that point in time, and that's what we did that night. All the girls stayed at the pub, and all the guys, after we got done eating, we all went dancing, and the night kind of moved along, and after dancing, we went downstairs to these nice outdoor barbecues, so you get to eat some food afterwards and hang out with some friends. The bulk of our friends had left, okay? Most of them had gone home. There were 3 of us left. We had myself, my friend Johnny, and my friend Jack. Now, their names weren't Johnny and Jack. I changed the names for, YouTube purposes here, but we're gonna go with Johnny and Jack right now. We're the last 3 left. So me and Jack are sitting at a table full of Chinese guys, and we're hanging out and chatting with them. Now, most of the story actually happens in Chinese. I'm gonna do it in English because it's gonna be a lot easier for everybody to understand, but we're hanging out with all these Chinese guys. We're having a good conversation, meeting some new people and all that stuff. We haven't seen Johnny in quite some time. He's floating around doing I don't even know what. And all of a sudden, the waitress at the barbecue comes up and she's shaking my shoulders and she goes, your friend. And I said, what's happening with my friend? And I'm like looking around, not knowing who she's talking about or what's going on. And so I look over where she's pointing, and there's my friend Johnny. And Johnny is standing there screaming, standing across from 2 Chinese gangsters. Now, how do I know they were Chinese gangsters? Chinese gangsters have a very distinct look, okay? It's somewhere between a K-pop star and Elvis Presley, okay? There's only 2 types of Chinese people who have this look. There's the gangsters, and there's the hairdressers, who are almost all guys as well. But they wear these great blazers, and these blazers have this, everybody knows that they got this breast pocket on the inside of the blazer, and it's about yay big, good for glasses or wallets, or in the case of Chinese gangsters, their standard pocket attire is a meat cleaver. Okay, so I'm standing here and I look over at Johnny and these 2 Chinese gangsters, and there they are shaking these meat cleavers in Johnny's face. And I said, oh my gosh. So I go running over there, and stupid me, what do? I set myself right in between 2 gangsters shaking meat cleavers and my buddy Johnny. And Johnny starts, he's after these 2 gangsters, and he's pushing into them, and with me in between him, he's really pushing me into them and these 2 cleavers that are getting shaped in our direction. Finally, I talked the situation down. Took a little while, end up talking the situation down. The meat cleavers go down on the table, and I take Johnny and I turn him, and we start walking towards the road where we can get some taxis and everything. And I hail a cab, and as I'm hailing a cab, he turns and spits something, some angry words over at this Chinese guy again. And I smacked him a little bit and spun him back around and start aiming him at the taxi again. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this flash. And this flash goes over the top of this barbecue unit. And as it goes over the top, it breaks a beer bottle and stands over on my right side. Then another flash has come in, and I'm turning at this point, and this flash is jumping through the air, and it breaks his beer bottle right over Johnny's head. Now, Jack at this point is kind of cleared off to the side. Sweetest guy in the world, not quite as equipped to handle this particular situation, so we're going to leave him on the sidelines for a minute. But Johnny ends up going down like a brick. But if you ever played Street Fighter 2, he comes out of it with Ryu's Dragon Punch and gets this guy right in the chin, okay? Puts the guy on his back, and as he's landing on his back. Johnny's on top of him, and he's beating the guy. And as he's beating the guy, I'm standing here looking at this other guy with the broken bottle, and trying to kind of keep him back and everything. And I noticed this other guy, he's laying on his back, but he's got a broken bottle still clenched in his hand. So I look down and I'm like, oh my gosh, he could like reach up and right into Johnny's side, and the last thing I want to do is go run into a Chinese hospital with a guy bleeding out his side from a beer bottle wound. So I turn and I look and I kick this beer bottle out of this Chinese gangster's hand, okay? As I do this though, the other guy, he's not after me, he wants to go after Johnny too. So anyhow, he swoops around me, forgets about me completely, swoops around me and ends up going after Johnny, and Johnny is leaning over, threw a punch at this guy, and his butt was sticking right up in the air. And where does this broken beer bottle go? In a nice circular cutting pattern is right into Johnny's butt. So I take the guy, beer bottle still in hand, still in Johnny's butt, and I grab the guy and I toss him over a little bit away, and the guy stands up, and Johnny doesn't skip a beat. He's still in the middle of this fight, and they're tussling and rolling around on the ground doing their thing. And this guy stands up that I tossed, and he levels this beer bottle right at my throat. And I had a couple of nice little nicks on my throat in a circular pattern right around here for a long while. It's gone now, no big deal. But he levels this beer bottle at my throat, and I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, I don't want to get into this physically. I said, if I do, I'm going to end it, and it's not going to be happy for anybody. So what I want you to do is put the beer bottle down and help me get these two guys apart, because we want to be done with this and go home, right? And he was like, he wasn't feeling it completely. Then a girl comes over, and all three of us are talking while this beer bottle's on my throat, and I find out that this whole situation goes down because Johnny decides to hit on this gangster's girlfriend right in front of him, and then everything exploded into all this commotion, right? So she's on my side. She says, let's just get out of here. And he said, okay, fine. He finally puts the beer bottle down, and we go, and her and the other Chinese gangster grab their buddy, and I grab Johnny and pull him off, and we're dragging them towards taxis. I couldn't get a taxi for the life of me because Johnny is covered in blood, and no taxi would pull over. So Jack comes back into the picture. I said, Jack, go over there, get a taxi, okay? So he goes and gets a taxi and pulls up inside the taxi, doesn't get out of the taxi, so the taxi driver isn't going to take off. And I start dragging Johnny over, and they're dragging their buddy over towards the other taxi, and we get them kind of calmed down a little bit. And all of a sudden, as I'm getting Johnny into the taxi, he screams something else at the Chinese guy again. And the Chinese guy is like pulling to get out of the taxi, and Johnny starts pulling to get out of the taxi again. And so I wrapped him up in a headlock. And I start choking him. I'm choking my buddy Johnny. And I said, Johnny, I'm sorry, man. And the last words he said before he passed out is, it's okay. It's what has to be done. And then boom, he's out. Toss him over my shoulder, throw him inside a taxi with Jack, and the three of us are off. And we go home. And I finally, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning at this point. We finally get in the house, and I'm covered in blood from like my collarbone down to my knees, and none of it's my blood, it's all Johnny's blood, because I've been carrying him around as he's bleeding out his butt this entire time, okay? So I'm covered in blood, and I walk inside, and my girlfriend is calling and texting and like, where are you? I'm in the middle of this giant situation, I didn't get back to her, and I was like, I'm not gonna walk into the bedroom at 6 o'clock in the morning looking like this. And so I walked out to the back porch, and I called her from the back porch, and she said, where are you? And I said, it's not my fault, I swear. This time I did not do anything. It's not my fault. Just come out to the back porch. She's like, why are you on the back porch instead of in the bedroom, 4 or 5 hours ago? And I was like, just come out and I'll explain. So she meets me out on the back porch, and I turn around, covered in blood, and she goes, oh, crap. She said, did you kill somebody? Do we have to leave China? Like, are we allowed here right now? Do we have to run? Like, do we need to start packing? What's going on? I said, no. I said, none of this is mine. None of this is Chinese folks. This is all Johnny's, because he got stabbed in the butt. At which point she started laughing. And then she asked if he was okay. Second thought, But that, my friends, is the story of my buddy Johnny, and how he ended up with a nice beer bottle sized circular scar on his butt that is there today, and we love to laugh about. So I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I will see you next time on Confusing Musings. Please be sure to like me. Please be sure to subscribe to me. And please be sure to refer me to your friends. Have a good day, and I'll catch you guys next time.